All right, welcome in. Yes, it is just myself, Nick Burt, and Matt Merrifield. We are coming to you today for an exclusive on the Nick Burt Sports Network here. We will be covering the Winter Olympics hockey, men's specifically. We'll throw in some women somewhere. That's if the tournament doesn't end up getting canceled for norovirus, because that just seems like a fun thing going around right now. Matt, how are you doing tonight? As we are getting close to men's hockey starting in Milan.
It absolutely couldn't be better as we approach Olympic hockey. Of course, the women's bracket started yesterday as we are recording. Well, some of the teams have. Canada may never play. I'll take a futures bet on the U.S. team to get the norovirus next at this rate, if that's the next game for Canada, due to the Finland game and Switzerland game both being canceled. But most importantly, as we begin recording, the third period is about to begin at the GFL Gardens Memorial Arena. What the hell? I forget what it's called in Sarnia. The Canadian Sarnia. GFL Memorial Gardens. There we go. The Birds are up 3-0 as we
speak. Sure, that's not Sarnia. That's Sioux.
Sioux, same difference. It's been a long day. All I know is the Birds are 20 minutes away from being a playoff hockey team before Valentine's Day.
That's just absolutely wild to say, Matt. I texted you earlier saying, "Is that even legal for the Birds?"
I don't know. I was, I'm a Birds guy through and through. Was not expecting this big of a jump for this team this year, so we love it. We love to see it. Saginaw's up 3-1 at the end of 2, so it appears that if all results hold, the Birds will be. I don't even know what they do in the OHL. Spraying water bottles on head coach Paul Flash in the locker room ahead of their matchup against the Erie Otters tomorrow in Flint.
Love it. Let's get into the Olympic hockey, though, because it has been 12 years since we have had NHL players go to the Olympics. That is 2 Olympics in between there in 2018 and 2022. Matt, I would ask you who won gold in both of those, but I'm pretty sure you can't give me an answer there.
I'll give you one of them. Actually, okay. Can I give you... 22 was Finland.
Yes, that is correct.
I looked up last night. 2018, was it Germany?
It was not.
Did they medal, though, didn't they?
I believe so.
I know they medaled because I went through the who medaled. Well, was it Russia, quote unquote?
It was the Olympic athletes from Russia, but it was not the Russian Federation. So, technically correct, but also, not really, because we had to ban the Russians from the Olympics because of their drug use. And then we had to ban the Russians for other reasons this time around.
Well.
So, it has been, like I said, 12 years. This is the first true tournament like this since 2016, best on best wise. I know we had 4 nations last year, but 4 nations facing off isn't the same as 12 nations facing off, if you ask me. I guess just in a big picture here, Matt, what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to as of this moment?
I mean, I think it is just purely the opportunity to watch best on best hockey for the first time in such a long time. Like, thinking about it yesterday, I was going through making my notes. 2014, like where I was in 2014, to go back, I was in 5th grade. Yeah, 5th grade, because that would have been the fall of 2013 when Michigan State won the Big Ten. This is how I remember things from my youth. I go back through and remember which year of Michigan State football and how miserable I was certain years, or how happy I was certain years. But yes, 2014, I would have been a 5th grader. Yeah, I mean, and TJ Oshie was everywhere. I wasn't even the biggest TJ Oshie guy. To be honest, I think I rooted for Russia in that game against the Americans. I did not like that American squad in 2014. That's a whole different conversation. But it's just wild to see where we've gone from then. And it's just refreshing to be back. The 4 nations, well, yes, not quite as exciting as this. It was a good tease of just how good it feels to watch international hockey. World Juniors is always great, but to see the very best in the world, guys who, you get to see certain countries who, the Germanys, the Slovakias, the Denmarks that, they go to World Juniors, get their dicks kicked because, well, you can only there's only so many 18 to 20-year-old hockey players in one nation, especially one of those size. And now the golden generations all can come together and play, and it's going to be an absolute blast to watch over the next couple of weeks. So my biggest complaint everybody makes the knockout round. There's no stakes to the opening round, which sucks.
Yeah. Because we kind of talked about that last night. Kind of mess with, everybody advancing on. It is what it is. I guess like the biggest advantage, I guess, of finishing above is obviously top 4 get a bye, and they are playing. So everybody in the playoff round plays the next day, I believe. So that's technically the advantage of everybody, making it. But I'd rather just have people eliminated in the group stage. Like we'll get into it, but do we need to see, France in the knockouts?
I also just hate the format of having 3 groups. I understand to limit the amount of hockey that's played in such a short amount of time. And we'll get into it a little bit more, but like the United States group, respectfully, if I, as a hockey fan, I'm going to watch. But if my friend, Heath the squirrel, comes up to me, he's from Rushville, Indiana. He can't skate. He's never watched a hockey game in his life, other than when he yells at MSU when they're on Big Ten Network once every 3 weeks. If he asked me, should I watch the U.S. play Denmark? Yes. Like, if you don't know what you're watching, if you're not as interested, if you're not a hockey fan, no, like there's no draw to it. And I understand, they have to spread it out, but none of the groups really do it for me. The Canadian group is fine, I guess, with Czechia. But Group B is fun because Finland and Sweden is its own little rivalry. But it doesn't do it for me, to be completely honest. Just this format. I wish it was just 2 groups, so you force a little more interdivisional or just more crossover play, see more teams play each other, and also there's no elimination, so there's no worry of if the U.S. and Canada beat each other and one of them drops a stinker somewhere else, that kind of screws things up. Everybody moves on, so let's make this as fun as possible.
Yeah, I think at least compared to 4 Nations, the biggest shock for people that are going to be casually tuning in is the rules. Everybody's going to expect the beginning of the USA-Canada game, if those 2 face off, it's not going to happen, people. I was asked at the office today, so what are the rules for fighting in the Olympics? I told them, you get kicked out of the game and you're most likely kicked out of the village. That's just not how this works. So obviously that's going to be probably the biggest difference. We're playing on close to NHL ice, smaller, but hey, I guess you can't measure correctly in Italian, so it is what it is. Let's get into it though. I got our beautiful graphics department here has put together this, and that graphics department was myself. Got all the rosters here. We'll kind of just go through each team. Some of them we're not going to have much to say on because I don't know about you, Matt. I haven't seen a lot of the players from Italy play because 95% of them play in Italy full time. So,
yeah, my notes, I started for the big top 6 countries. I had pros, cons, plus negatives for each team to break down a little bit. Once we got to Denmark and on, it turned into just notes, and I don't think I have a note for France, and Italy has 1 note, and it's more derogatory towards their ability to build hockey rinks and host an Olympics. So we'll get into that.
I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear this because I know what's coming, and it's going to be incredible. We'll start off with Canada. This is our beautiful graphics department. Now, we did take a swing at trying to figure out lines for Canada, and then everybody else, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm literally just doing alphabetical order. So this is kind of just a mess here. On this team, of course, Drew Doughty, Sidney Crosby, your 2 players that have actually had Olympic experience before. Both have played in 2 Olympics, 2010, 2014. But overall, this is a 4 Nations light team. There's a few mixes in there, but this is heavily what we saw last year in Montreal and Boston. Matt, I know we talked about this obviously when the rosters came out, but kind of your thoughts here on this Canada team.
I it's the class of the Olympics, truly, and the most talented team we've probably ever seen assembled to play together on one ice. The top six, those top six forwards, there isn't much else to say other than the names and their reputation speak for themselves. It's going to be fun to watch. Poor France. Whichever, I don't have the schedule up in front of me of when that game is to be played.
I believe it's the last group stage game.
You could send the Canadian E-League team, and they would still go and beat the crap out of France. But that still, does this Canadian team has a league of its own? Those top six are unstoppable. I like the balance still of the forward core, even once you get to the bottom six. Having Tom Wilson be there, who can put the puck in the net, but obviously we know why he's there. Even still without the fighting, he still brings a present. Hagel, similar story. You still have younger talent with Nick Suzuki, two-way players like Bo Horvat, Seth Jarvis can do everything. There's no weakness on that on the forward side of things. The D core, Kel McCarr is, in my opinion, the best defenseman in the world. And after that, it's just safe, strong defensemen. They don't jump off the page, in my opinion, like the American defensemen do. I think that's the one spot the Americans, we'll get to the other spot where Americans really have an advantage. But a strong D core, the strengths really outweigh the weaknesses. The weakness is goaltending. As much as a Jordan Binnington stan that I am, and I still think he's going to come through for this Canadian team here in the next couple weeks, there's a lot to be desired by those three names at the bottom. And I guess the other weakness I was looking for a second was just some of the injuries here as of late. I know Seth Jarvis was a late add. It wasn't not the ideal team the Canadians wanted to send. Not that it matters. They could have probably 4 or 5 more injuries and still be the most talented team there. But other than that, that's not really much of a weakness. They'll be fine even without it.
Yeah, you mentioned the injuries. Probably should have designated the replacements on here. Seth Jarvis is a replacement, as you said. He's replacing Braden Point. Anthony Cirelli has been replaced by Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett was obviously another big one that was originally left off. Obviously, won a Conn Smythe earlier. Well, not this year, last year now. But overall, like you said, Matt, the biggest weakness on this team is goaltending. And that's just the future for Canada. Like, goaltending is going to be your massive weakness. We have talked about this plenty, that they're just not developing goalies anymore because everybody wants to be a forward. Everybody wants to be Connor McDavid. Everybody wants to be Crosby. It's soon going to be everybody's going to want to be Celebrini. We are very much getting close to that. You're going to have the few stragglers that want to be a Cale Makar. Nobody's waking up as a 6-year-old saying, I want to be Jordan Binnington. Let me become a goalie. And that's going to be a massive problem for Canada. It's obviously the weakness here. Like you said, forwards and defensemen, those by far, I think, are your best sets at the Olympics. But, you can score as much as you want. You got to keep the puck out of the net. That's the biggest thing. And goalies can steal games, and they can lose you games. Canada obviously just has to hope that Binnington finds his Four Nations championship game overtime form at some point. Can he? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But this is going to be really interesting to see how this team plays out. So with each of these, before we move on, I want to do best case, worst case scenario for the teams. Obviously, I'm pretty sure you'll agree. Best case scenario for Canada is they win gold. What do you think is their worst case scenario here?
Obviously, it would have to be losing in the quarterfinal because this team's going to win that group. There's no reason. There's some issues I have with the Czechia squad. That's their only competition in Group A of really challenging to win the group. And even then, I still think Czechia is closer to Switzerland than they are the Canadians in terms of just overall top to bottom talent. So if this team doesn't make doesn't make a medal game, right? If they don't make it to the semis, that is an absolute disaster to me, and I still don't think so. And truly, worst case scenario, if they don't medal, they finish in fourth. Like this team, something had to have gone horribly wrong for them not to make the semifinals. Truly,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there, because it feels like even if they are in that playing game, they're not going to be playing somebody good. Like they will be like the best non top four team, so they'll be playing in Italy or France. There's no way they go out in the playoff. Again, worst case scenario is Bennington looks like his self in a quarterfinal game against a sneaky good opponent, who knows, and they just get caught out.
and the one thing I actually like about this Canadian team that they refuse to even try and build a similar type roster for World Juniors is the knock always every year for the U20s is Hockey Canada takes the 20 best players and they leave a lot of good talent home, or they sacrifice talent, or they take talent and sacrifice some of the grit that it does take to win a tournament, an international tournament like this. That's not the case for this Canada team. That's the whole reason Tom Wilson is there. There's a reason Connor Bedard's not there. And not that Connor Bedard isn't talented enough to be playing on this roster, not that he wouldn't fill a role, but they have more than enough guys that can put the puck in the back of the net. So I like that this team is built to go out there and when it matters, even if they somehow lay an egg against Czechia and are playing in that first, that play-in game, they're going to win the next two. And they'll probably if they turn it on, unless they're playing the Americans or the Swedes, they can win each game by multiple goals. Like truly, this team, when they want to go out there and they play with that edge, the first couple of rounds, they're going to absolutely take care of business.
Yeah, obviously, the biggest competition for them in this group is going to be the Czechs. I kind of like that they get that game out of the way first, because if you drop it there, you got the other two games, and it is what it is. Obviously, if they lose to the Czechs, Canada is going to melt down, given what the Czechs have done to them in the World Juniors the past 3 years, 4 years. I don't even remember what it is now, but it always seems like the Czechs are that kryptonite. But again, this is, even with the goaltending, this is the best team on paper I think we have at the Olympics. But just because it's a good team on paper doesn't mean it's going to be good on the ice, because the game is actually played on the ice. So given that, Matt, do you have any final comments here for Canada before we move on?
Not that would just pertain to Canada. So I think anything else I could touch on when we get to the other 11 squads in Milan.
Sounds good. Let's move on. We will move on to their biggest test in Group A, and that is Czechia. This is a team, obviously, it's going to be, like I said, this graphic is now in alphabetical order. We're not trying lines here. This is just a mess of players. A lot of NHLers, but you're having some, European teams thrown on here. Some names you probably haven't heard of in a while. You'll get some other names throughout this Olympics that you're like, wow, I remember him 10 years ago. But your first thoughts here on Czechia?
Those top six, well, we don't actually have a top six. I did see a top six somewhere, for which website I was able to find a projection for. I think the NHL.com was able to put one together. Like Hurdle, Natchez, Pasternak, I think Pollock, and like their top six forwards are just as, or can compete with the United States. I think in terms of level, nobody's going to be able to compete with the Canadians, but on a level with the Finns, the United States, and the Swedes, Czechia is right there in terms of top end talent. And obviously, we know what Pasternak can do in playoff scenario type hockey. He's one of the best in the world. And if Vezmelka can continue to play at the level he's played at this year for Utah, they're going to give themselves a very good shot. Even though, from what I've seen, it's not guaranteed that he has the goal that Dostal or Vlader might have an opportunity to play a little bit too, even though Vezmelka would clearly be the guy that, just based on form this year, it should be Vezmelka's net. And those other two don't have the pedigree, in my opinion, to overstep that at all. My concern, Nick, are you aware there. So the first forward listed is Roman Cervenka. Are you aware of how old he is?
I believe he's about 37, I want to say.
He's 40.
Yes.
They have a 40-year-old playing in the Olympics. And Czechia, Czechia's a very good hockey nation. I can't sit here and expect a team with a 40-year-old playing that's going to be in their starting lineup, going to be in their 20-man roster playing, and that doesn't do it for me. Plus, on the back line on defense, Filip Hronek, strong defenseman. Radko Gudas is your second best defenseman. That's kind of terrifying, respectfully. And more importantly, Jan Ruda and Radim Simek were part of two terrible Sharks teams. They were both a part of some really. Ruda was there last year, and he got knocked out of town and is back in Europe. I'm terrified of that defense core, as well as Vejmelka is going to have to play well in spite of his defense. So I am very weary of this Czechia team. Their youth, like in 4 years, 8 years, they're going to have a really good. I think in 4 years, when Pasternak is still playing at a high enough level, they can get some of their younger talent that is given the Canadians fits at World Juniors. They could make some noise in the next coming Olympics. This year, I think Czechia, I think the Swiss might give them a run for their money for second. But once again, who cares? Everybody makes the knockout round. So there's no risk here for the Czechs other than when they get to the knockout stage. It just all comes down to matchup. But not exactly thrilled about this Czechia squad.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that stood out to me is I believe they have 5 players above the age of 35 here. Now, I'm not calling people over 35 old, but in hockey terms, you're old. I think this is the team that finishes second in this group, even despite that. There's still very good players on this team, but it does feel like the goaltending is a question here, along with the defense. I'm not 100% sure who gets to start in the Canada game, because I feel like it should be Vejmelka. I don't know if it's actually going to be him. That is something I will be waiting to find out on Wednesday when this does get started, because I feel like they're not going to show their hand until probably Wednesday. Is he your choice who would start on Wednesday against Canada?
100%.
Yeah. Because all of them are they're fine. They're doable, but it's just not great there. Like you said, the defense is, once you get past Hronek and Radko Gudas, that's rough. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, but this is not the Czech teams of the late 90s and early 2000s when they had Dominik Hasek and Jaromír Jágr on the wing and probably like 5 other NHLers that I can't think of right now. Matt, what is your best case and worst case scenario for Czechia here?
Worst case, I guess in terms of group stage, they finished third. They're not going to finish below France. That just won't happen. And then I guess going to the knockout stage, they lose in the opening round to a team that they probably, on paper, that they shouldn't, because they're viewed upon as that 5th country playing in this Olympics. Obviously, without Russia being there, it's the 4 nations, and then Czechia is right there behind them. And I don't think they're going to get out of that first round of knockout play. Best case scenario, they find themselves with a bronze medal. I don't think this team has the horses to get to a gold medal game, unfortunately, for the Czechs in this Olympics.
I completely agree with you there. If they had better goaltending, I think maybe they could steal silver, or you know what I mean there. But I think best case scenario for them is going to be bronze. Worst case is losing out in that playout round. And I honestly think that's probably where it ends for them. There are some sneaky good teams in this tournament that they could potentially go up against in that playout. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting team on paper, but I just think age is going to get to them. I think they're 4 years out from being back at that late 90s, early 2000s level. Any last thoughts on Czechia here?
Do not. I would have to agree with the prospective future of Czechia is brighter than what is going to show up to Milan on Wednesday.
Yes. We will see them in 4 years playing at a temporary venue in Nice, France, inside a soccer stadium.
You have to watch more French hockey in the Olympics.
Yes. Next Olympics, it's an automatic bid for them. So your next Olympics where you're not having a fraudulent throw-in team is going to be 2034, which is when the U.S. hosts. So maybe Russia will be unbanned by then, or maybe we'll all be dead. So,
wow.
France.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I got nothing on France.
I got nothing.
I suggested to you 3 weeks ago, what if we just replace France with the Montreal Canadiens? They're French enough. And the only NHL player on here is a Montreal Canadian, and that's Alexandre Texier, who is having a great few months. But this is...
Isn't there a Spartan on this team?
No, that is, I believe, Germany and Italy.
Okay, then. Well, do I even recognize any of these names?
Dylan Fabry.
Dylan Fabry. Why? Oh, yeah, I think, yes. No. Do I? That's Robbie Fabry that plays for
the you're right. Okay, so, never mind.
Yeah, I know Tessier. Jesus, this team is bad. Yeah. I got nothing. Truly, build a good hockey rink in 4 years, please.
We joke about how France may just be awful at the women's tournament because they've put on 2 awful games so far.
Just don't be worse. Might be worse. No, God, there's no way. After what I watched yesterday, after what you told me to not turn on, and then I did.
Did you turn on today? It was much worse. Wow. I got nothing here. I'm assuming best case scenario is losing in the knockout stages by less than 2.
If they score more than 3 goals in the group stage, that's a win. Like truly.
100%.
This team's not good. No. Don't give up 10 to Canada.
No. Disaster. It's going to be a disaster.
Because if the worst case scenario, Canada loses to Czechia, and therefore Canada is trying to blow up as many goals for goal differential to save to win the group. That's correct. Worst case scenario for them as they get pumped 10-0. So, anyways.
Yeah, I got nothing on here. This is a bad team. Very disaster. Half of these logos I've never seen in my life when I was putting these together. So that was a little fun experiment seeing all these teams. Let's move on. Last team in Group A, and that is Switzerland. A team kind of with a mix of NHL talent mixed with European talent. I feel like there's a lot of questions with this team. Matt, what are your thoughts with this Swiss team?
So this team fell into the just having notes on them category. No plus positives. I mean, a plus is they have a surprising amount of NHL forward depth that I kind of wasn't expecting when I first looked at the roster yesterday. Obviously, Kevin Evans, Kevin Fiala, Phil Kurashev, which I didn't realize Kurashev was going to the Olympics. And then, of course, it's Timo time, baby. And it's going to have to be Timo time. Him and Nico Hischier. It's ride or die time. I mean, those two have been they both their first Olympics, which is surprising to say, but obviously it's been 12 years. So they've been waiting for their time. Nico Hischier, you were the number 1 overall pick for a reason. Go. This is your team. But truly, I think this team is decent. Having Roman Josi and JJ Moser on the blue line is better than I don't know much about the European defensemen, so I can't really comment on the depth of Switzerland's defense. I'd go as far as they have better NHL defensemen than Czechia does. So there's that. And then goaltending, they have Schmid. I think I think they give Czechia a run for their money. I think that's actually going to be an entertaining game to watch. I think Switzerland's intriguing just because you don't know much about these NHL, about these European players. As much as you can try and lie and say you've done your research or stat watch, you truly don't know. Because one thing again, I don't know how good these leagues are, or if it's a goal scoring league or not a goal scoring league. The one thing I guess I can ask you is how much do you take into account? Because I'll give you my answer after I hear your answer. Is how much do you take into account for example, there's a team that we're going to get to in a second. I believe it's Slovakia that has a couple guys, or even how Czechia a moment ago, guys who are old NHL players who have just aren't good enough to play in the league anymore, but now are coming back and still expecting to play contributing minutes in the Olympics. Like, to me, that scares me. I'd rather it be more unknown guys playing in Europe, because there's a million different reasons why they're not playing in the NHL or playing in North America. Unless they're an NHL level good player, they're going to be playing in Europe for the most part for these guys from overseas. So how much do I buy into that? Like this Switzerland team, I don't recognize any guys, any European players. I think Andre Ghetto, I do. That's the only one. So
yeah, the age thing, I get it, but I don't like.
You're telling me Czechia has to send a 40-year-old forward? There is nobody at 27 to 32 years old playing in Czechia or playing somewhere in Europe with a Czechia passport. Like, I don't buy that.
Yeah,
and that scares me. Or hell, John Ruda. Anyways, continue.
No, I completely agree with you there. Like, at some point, like, I feel like it's better just to, throw in somebody like that. But then I do look at other players. Like, I mean, we talked about with Czechia. They had 5 players over 35. I believe all 5 of those players had Winter Olympic experiences, which could be helpful at some points. But mentality help isn't going to help you on the ice if they're not, still 100% with it. I'm fine if you throw like 1 or 2 players in there that aren't going to be, expected to play 20 minutes a night. But when you get to like 5 or 6, like surely there's other players out there that you can call up and just give them a chance. See what they can do on an international stage. It reaches a limit where it becomes okay. They're there, kind of give experience to a few of the people that haven't been there, and then why are we calling all these people up?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I guess the proof will be in the pudding in about 5 days, but until then, it's just speculation, I guess.
Would you assume Schmidt is the starter here?
I would have to. He's been solid for Vegas this year. I mean, they're really, to be honest, how many goalies that aren't of Russian descent have really been wowing between the pipes this year in the National Hockey League?
Not many.
And I know save percentage is down this year, at least from what I've noticed, so it's hard to kind of get a gauge, but even when you get to the Americans in a few minutes, they're guys who are supposed to be world class, at least for this Olympics, haven't had the best years. So, and then there's what the Canadian goalies are doing, aka Binnington. Yeah,
and that's a complete disaster. Best case, worst case scenario for Switzerland here.
Best case, they're playing. They look competitive in the quarter. Fine. I think this team is solid enough to make the semis, I guess. That feels like a huge stretch to be true. I think the realistic best case is that they win their first knockout game and they play a competitive quarterfinal matchup.
Yep, I completely agree. Obviously, worst case being they
3 goals to France.
Yeah, that would be quite awful. Best case scenario, I think, for Switzerland is 4th place, because even if they get to a bronze medal game, I don't think they'll win, just given what else is around. And honestly, getting there would probably mean a absolutely insane goaltending performance, most likely by Schmidt. Yeah, I think this team's ceiling truly is the quarterfinals. So, any lasting thoughts on Group A before we move on to Group B?
It's Timo time, bitches. I can't wait to watch more Timo Meyer. That's all I'm here for.
Let's move on. Group B, start with the Finns, a team that has 25 of 26 NHL players. The one being Mikko Lehtinen, the only player returning from the 2022 gold medal team. This is obviously the Dallas Stars light. Got 4 Dallas Stars on this team. Matt, your thoughts here on this Finland team? Of course, one of the teams we did see in the Four Nations last year.
Yeah, for Finland, I thought they actually had for being the fourth child of the Four Nations playing last year. Obviously, people would rather probably have Russia there for reasons they were not. But the historic of this team has had a lot of success. I was actually surprised. So they won gold in 22. They medaled in the last 3 Olympics where NHL players were allowed in 14, 10, and 06, which I did not realize. That was the surprise to me. So the success that they've had in the tournament, obviously, I don't think any of these guys were on that 2014 team. But still, just the historical relevance that this country has had playing in the Olympics. They like being the team that's underestimated, and I'm probably playing right into it because I do not love this Finland squad, to be quite honest. I like Saros a lot between the pipes. Not having who's the goalie that was supposed to be there behind him.
Ukko-Pekka Lehkonen.
Lehkonen was supposed to be there. I like him a lot as a young goalie. Saying Korpisalo is fine, I guess. Who's going to score besides Rantanen? I mean, Aho is a top. They have 2 players in the top 50 in points in the AHL. That's kind of scary. And I understand, like we've talked about already, the Canadians could send a C team to this Olympics with how talented the Canadian group just is as a whole right now with that talent pool. But only having Rantanen and Aho up top kind of scares me. And to be honest, I don't love the decor after Miro Heiskanen. Olli Mata, what year is it? Truly. And I know he might not play. I know he's probably going to end up being the extra defenseman for what I've read. But still, Ristolainen, doesn't move the needle for me. I know he's a true defensive defenseman. Jokiharju is fine. Lindell, he's Heiskanen's buddy. Mikola, I know, has been impressive in the Stanley Cup the last couple of years. But I think that I truly, and I know we're going to get to best case, worst case scenario, I think the Finns are destined to have a letdown here at this Olympics. I think they're of the big 4. I think they're the ones that are going to miss the opportunity to play for a medal.
Do you remember the Four Nations last year with Finland and their goaltending situation?
I don't, unfortunately. I don't think I watched either game they played in. Or the 3.
I believe Saros started the game against the U.S., which was their first game. And then mid-second game, which was the Sweden game, I believe he got pulled because he gave up 4 goals, and then they ran with Lankinen the rest of the tournament.
Lovely.
I believe that worries me here. Saros has already had some experience. I'm worried that it may shit the bed again. That is my big worry with the goaltending here. I don't think Lankinen is that bad because he will be the backup. I mean, when Thatcher Demko can't stay healthy, he is basically the starting goalie in Vancouver. I think Lankinen is decent enough. I know the Canucks aren't good this year. They sit 32nd. He has a little bit to do with that, but he doesn't have a good team around him. Overall, though, I don't disagree with you. This, out of the big 4, big 5, whatever you want to call it, I think Finland has the largest room to disappoint because, like you said, the defensemen aren't outstanding. I've seen better, obviously. Goal scoring, again, like you said, massive question there. Honestly, this just doesn't feel like a true like Finland team. That's my biggest thing.
My thing I mean, we could be playing right into it. Truly, I mean, for my biggest strength, like I like Saros, and as you pointed out, he didn't play very well at Four Nations. Um, he has to keep him in these games. Like they could win every game 2-1. I guess they have the defensive. Like I will give their forward core credit. They won't get scored on very much. They have guys that are all second, third line forwards that realize that they can't get scored on. That's a big part of their job. So from that standpoint, if they can find a way to poke a few home early and they're trying to win every game 2-1, that makes him dangerous. But man, it's going to rely on Saros being on his game, and I just don't know if I can trust that. So that's like, but every year we play into it, so that's why I'm scared to be like, yes, they're going to disappoint because it happens every time. Everybody hates on the Finns, and then they come out and in some incredible, they win the damn game. So we shall see.
As you were explaining that, I found the perfect analogy for Finland. They are the Berhalter ball of hockey.
Wow.
Like they like you said, 2-1 victories is what we seem to see from them when they play in these types of tournaments. They just it's not outstanding to watch. It's not, completely awful to watch. It's just there.
But is Tuukka or is Saros going to be able to do what Tuukka Rask did 12 years ago? Because from what I remember, and it was 12 years ago, Tuukka Rask was playing some of the best hockey that he had been playing. So
that is correct. Yeah. Best case, worst case here.
Best case, they win silver. They can get to the final. I don't see this team winning it. Truly, I think there's three teams that are, and it's pretty obvious. It's the U.S., the Swedes, and the Canadians, obviously, that are. I think those are the only three that truly can get to the game and win it. Finland can get there, though. As we've talked about, they have no issue playing a brand of hockey that can be successful in this type of tournament. So, best case, they win silver, and they're once again medaling for a fourth consecutive time with NHLers. Worst case, they fall flat on their face and they lose that opening game to, depending on who they get in the opening round of the play-in, or whatever you want to call it, the first round of knockout play. Because they could win the group. Even if they win the group, they could still fall flat on their face in the medal rounds. But they could, if they play a Germany or Switzerland and lose 2-1 in the first stage of the knockout round, I could see that happening as well. Like you mentioned, just they have a wide range. They might have the widest range of sealing the floor.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. I don't see this team falling on their face in the playout rounds, but I mean, you get a goaltending letdown, and it's right there because this, like we said, this team can't score.
Yeah, truly, I think this team finishes in the quarterfinals. I think that is where they end up losing, but I do see a scenario where they lose that opening round game, but I would probably put them right in the middle. And I do think they missed the medal, playing for a medal, though. I don't think they have a chance to play for bronze. I think they lose the round before.
Yeah, I think this team can make a semifinal. I don't think they can, like you said, best case scenario is UC Saros turns into 2014 Tuukka Rask, leads them to a final, and they win silver. Or you don't win silver, but you know what I mean.
You earn silver. I guess it's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. Overall, though, honestly, I think they make the semifinal. We'll obviously get into predictions after, but I think they can make a semifinal. It's going to depend on who you play for bronze if they win it. Will be interesting to see. There any final thoughts here on Finland?
No.
Let's move on to our hosts. The team with 0 NHLers, 0 players on any NHL affiliated teams. There's 1 NHL player tech contracted or drafted, on this team, and that is the Italians, and that one player is Damian Clara, who was drafted by the Ducks 2 years ago. I got nothing here.
Thanks for hosting and partially completing the rink, I guess. That's what you get from me. That's what you get.
Best case scenario is they lose in the playout round.
Best case scenario is they score. Well, they have in my opinion, slightly easier group because they don't have to play the Canadians. So, yeah, we're about to get into it in a minute. I don't like Slovakia. So they score, best case scenario, they score 5 goals in the group stage. And that feels pushing it because this team might be worse than the French. I don't know which one will be worse. I guess we're going to find out for ourselves together.
Yeah. Hey, Dustin Gadsley, 37 years old. Hey, at least he made an Olympics.
That name sounds familiar to me. Let's look.
He played for the Binghamton Senators and the Hershey Bears. Those are the only 2 times.
It feels like a name. What years did he play? First off, Spartan.
Yes.
Second off, yeah, that fits into about the time where I might have been playing NHL, like 15 or 16, and Be a Pro was in Hershey or something, and probably saw that name. So that fits.
So Wikipedia hasn't updated its stats page since the 21-22 season. Surely he has played hockey since then. Like, he's not going into this Olympics 4 years out of hockey, is he?
Who, Gasly?
Yeah.
No, he's in the Austrian league right now. Hockey
Okay.
DB. He has 32 points in 41 games for Bolzano Hockey Club, where he's been since COVID. So,
Wikipedia needs to step up their game. All I'll say. Italians, I got nothing else. There's really not much to say about this team. They're going to struggle. And I think that's a given. Let's move on. The Slovakians. This is a interesting mix here. If you look at the bottom, you see a Minnesota Duluth Bulldog on this team. This is one of the teams of all time.
Yes. Strengths. They have an experienced decor. They have some NHL talent in Cernak and Harvey and Nemec, however you say it. I don't like this team. Truly. Like, I know them and the Czechs are usually thought of as that next tier of competitive teams. I think the Czechs still have enough, even though I'm not super high on them this year either. I do not like the Slovaks. I went through and ranked all these teams 1 through 12. Slovakia comes in at 8 for me. There are some teams on this list. I think the Swiss. Honestly, I'd take the Swiss over the Slovaks this year. And there's another team I think you'll be surprised to see that I take over this team. Hell, I might be tempted to put them 9. Tomas Tatar. Seriously, what year is it? That goes back to my point of this. Surely, I know I looked it up too before I made this comment. He is having a decent year in the which league is it? I believe he's in the Swiss league.
Yes. Yep.
He plays for Zug, I think.
That is correct.
Look at me remembering stuff. Yeah, 30 points in 36 games in the Swiss A League. That's how you do it. That gets the squad fired up. Slavkovsky, obviously he will be on that first line, I would have to expect. You're putting a lot of pressure on a 21-year-old. And sink or swim, buddy. Welcome to the show. And I think they sink. And they have to open against the Finns. So it's obviously not the Swedes are better. So you're going to go out. You're going to have a tough matchup against a team that doesn't give up a lot. And you're going to have to try and find a way. If they don't win that game, they're not beating the Swedes. And then, okay, fine, you beat Italy. And you sit at 1-2. And then pray you don't get bent over in your first matchup of the knockout round. I don't like this team.
I don't disagree, and I think it starts at the back end. I don't know truly any of these names at goalie. I don't know who you're throwing in net. Like you said, Slavkovsky, he may be having a great year with Canadiens, but that is a lot to throw on him. I mean, because he will be carrying this team if, they go on a run here. I would very much say he's the best player on this team right now. Um, to your point, Thomas Tatar, when I saw that name on there, I'm like, wow, like surely, like I'm wrong here, but like surely there's somebody else. I don't disagree with you here. I don't love this team. I guess what is your best case scenario for them?
They make the quarters. Truly, I mean, I don't think this team gets to the semifinal. I just don't see a scenario, unfortunately, for them.
I agree. This is not a good team. Like we've had better Slovakian teams in previous Olympics by far. This
100%.
is quite bad. Worst case is it's a disaster in the playout round.
Worst case, Italy's up 1-0 at the end of the first. They won't lose. They'll win that game like 5-1. But
agreed. Any final thoughts here on the Slovaks before we move on to our last team in Group B, and that is Sweden? What a team here we have put together. Matt, I'm just gonna open the floor to you because I know you got some thoughts here on Sweden.
I really like this hockey team. Their forward depth is incredible. It's well balanced, in my opinion. We're gonna talk about a team here in a few minutes. I don't love their forward core for the same reasoning. I'm a huge fan of Lucas Raymond. Petters, the talent top to bottom. They have the skill. They still have enough, hard nosed, two-way, third line forwards as well to fill it out. And I'm a huge fan of the defense. Responsible and reliable. That's kind of how I would describe it. Victor Hedman, just a pro's pro. He was at those Olympics in 2014, correct?
I don't think so.
How old is Victor Hedman? Anyways, I can fact check it once you start breaking them down. I don't love that Eric Carlson's there in the year 2026, but I know he was at the 2014 Olympics. And sorry, go ahead.
I can confirm Hedman was not at the Olympics in 2014.
Wow, when did he? Anyways, shows how old I am. Goaltending. Do you know who's starting? Like, I don't hate this group. I mean, Wallstedt's having a great year. Obviously, Minnesota with Gustafsson and Wallstedt together is not a bad choice. But just it's inexperienced, I guess, is my concern. And then I don't know how much offensive production you're going to get out of the defensive core. Not that necessarily matters. I do like Dahlen and Anderson a lot, of course. Honestly, I think I kind of have to take that comment back because I really like this D-core the more I look at it. True, this team impresses the hell out of me. I might have to put them ahead of the Americans. This is a really good, really damn good hockey team.
You kind of took my big point there. I think this is the second best team at the Olympics. Everybody's going to say the U.S. is the second best team. They are not. It is the Sweden team. This team, honestly, I think it's the most even from forwards to defensemen to goaltenders of talent-wise. Like, we'll obviously get to the U.S. when we get to the U.S., but Canada has outstanding forwards and outstanding defensemen, but the goalies aren't there. This feels all equal. This seems like a really good team that's built to make a run for the gold. But like you said, the biggest question, who is starting in goal? Two of these guys were not at the Four Nations. The only one that was Gustafsson. I don't remember who started, but I want to say it was Allmark. I could be completely wrong there at Four Nations, and obviously he is not there. And as I am fact-checking myself right now, it looks like it was Gustafsson starting the first 2 games, and then Omar came in for Gustafsson in the Finland game.
Gustafsson was kind of terrible in the 2 outings.
So I will, like you said, you put the question to me, who starts? I have no idea.
I can't imagine that. My guess would be Gustafsson.
I think it's going to be Gustafsson too. I don't know how long he's going to start though. That's my thing. If he is shaky in game 1, and I know it's kind of an easy start for them, but
I'd say that's not a fair assessment. He might see 6 shots the entire game.
And that's the problem. Again, I like this team. I really like this team. If there is a team that is going to challenge Canada, I think it's Sweden.
I think the United States is still on that level, obviously. I think in terms of building out this roster, my concern, and it kind of goes back to the goaltending, is Sweden didn't have the best showing at 4 Nations last year. Now, does that leave a bad taste in their mouth? Do they figure it out for the Olympics? We're about to find out over the next 15 days. But on paper, this team should be competing with the Canadians, truly. I don't think the gap is as big as it is with other squads. So we'll have to wait and see. But this will be a fun team to watch. My last thought, I guess, on Group B is that this is the most entertaining group simply because it has Finland and Sweden in it. Like, there's a second team that actually can compete with the top dog in the group. So thank you for that. And I guess, best case, worst case, best case is gold. And worst case, I guess their goaltending lays an egg in the quarterfinal and they lose in the quarterfinal to somebody they shouldn't. But I really don't see that happening. My guess is that this team finishes. This team will medal. I'm not quite sure what the bracket would look like in terms of who has to play in the semi or the final. Because if they have to play the Americans, maybe I lean for them to finish over if they play the Canadians in the semis. So this team will earn a medal, in my opinion.
Best case scenario, it's 2006 all over again. They play for gold, they win it. It's in Italy, so might as well just run it all the way back. Except there are no twins on this team like there was 20 years ago, and Hendrik Lundqvist isn't in net. So, worst case, like you said, I think it's gonna be quarterfinal, lay an egg, because obviously we know 4 teams get the automatic bye to the quarterfinals. There's only 3 groups, which means 1 second place finisher will be there. It's going to be Sweden or Finland. Whoever finishes second in the group, that's going to be the team. I think that's worst case for Sweden, but this team, like you said, they are going to medal. I very much believe this team medals, and I personally think it will be silver or gold. Again, it's going to depend on how the bracket breaks, who they play in the semifinal, but this team will medal. You already said your final thoughts on Group B. Let's move on to our final group, Group C. 4 more teams here. We start with Denmark. Another team that's kind of a mix here. We got some NHLers, we got some AHLers, and then backfilled with European talent. Your thoughts here on this Denmark team leading off Group C?
I like just overall in this group the fact that the bottom of it doesn't have France or Italy, so there is at least some sort of a competition on who finishes last. This is the group of death, even though everybody makes it to the promised land. But unfortunately, in my opinion, Denmark is the worst team in this group. They do have the mighty Ginger, Freddie Anderson, between the pipes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. And up front, they're going to need guys like Ehlers and Eller, who are, now, to be disrespectful to Nikolai Ehlers, I know the Hurricanes paid a lot of money to him, but is he a number 1 option forward? Probably not. Not a creator of them truly by himself, and he's going to have to. It's not a bad roster. I don't hate it. I don't recognize most of these names that are playing over in Europe. Alexander True, I recognize, former Sharks prospect. He's still relatively young, so it's not like it's an old and a former NHLer playing in Europe. So, you know what? Not a terrible team, but not somebody that I'm feeling great about. I do think they finished last, unfortunately, for the Danes.
For the Danes, I did not mention this in opening, but they are the only team that is bringing 15 forwards and 7 defensemen. Everybody else is 14 forwards and 8 defensemen. I don't know how that ends up playing out. It's, again, not like this team is just stacked with, NHL talent. Like you said, Ehlers, is he really, because him, Ehlers, and Bjorkstrand are going to have to carry this team, at least on the forward end of things. Like you said, the fact that there is no Italy and there's no France here, there's at least, some chase for the bottom. Denmark feels like that team at the bottom. I know Freddie Anderson is going to get the start in that because he is their best goaltender out of these 3. But really, like that defensive grouping, I think just the fact that there's no NHLers here, like that doesn't help my opinion of them. I'm not going to pretend like I've watched these guys play in, Germany and Sweden and wherever else. It's not great. I think this team is destined for the bottom of Group C. Given that, Matt, what's the best case scenario for Denmark here? Is it quarterfinals if they pull off some upset in the playout round?
I would have to. They fall into the category along with the other 2 teams in this group of, they can surprise somebody. They have more than enough capability of winning a game that they probably shouldn't. Goaltending shows up. Now, compared to the other teams in this group, Freddie Anderson's not the guy. In my opinion, he's not my first choice to have a legacy game and push them to the quarterfinals. But yes, on paper, they have the ability to make the quarterfinals, but they don't get any further, unfortunately, for Denmark. Worst case, they are in a competitive game. I don't even know how. Once again, I don't know how the knockout stage works. If they have any chance of playing Italy or France, worst case, they go to overtime against one of the 2.
Yeah, I agree there. I don't think we really have anything else to add. So let's move on to Germany. Probably the second best team in this group, I would say. This is a very interesting team because it is very top heavy with NHL talent. And then once you get past that top layer, it is European players that I personally have not seen play.
I love this Germany team. Truly, I absolutely love it because they have a top 3 player in the world, top 4 player in the world, and Leon Draisaitl. Plus, there's enough support with Stützle and Sturm and Peterka at the top where it's not just a one-man show. There's other people on the ice that can play with him and are at that level with him. Plus, the Germans love to be that team. They feel like they're the team that their goaltending shows up. Philipp Grubauer, surprisingly, not having a bad year. Having a decent year. I know he's the backup in Seattle, but he's actually putting up some pretty strong numbers. On the back end, you do have Mo Seider. Now, who's going to be helping out on the back end besides Seider? Couldn't tell you. Truly couldn't tell you. But most, Norris Seider, as certain people in the city are trying to proclaim in the city of Detroit, he's not a Norris-winning defenseman, but he's still having quite a good year. So it's the golden age of German hockey, and I think they're the 5th. I truly believe they're the 5th best team in this tournament. I guess that would be my hot take of this preview. Is I think they're still better than the Czechs. They're definitely better than the Slovaks, and I think that I am excited to see what they can do with the top end talent, and still, as long as the bottom 6 can play, don't get scored on, and then let the top 4. Will that work for them? Probably not, because their goaltending doesn't play well enough, then the other's screwed. But I think this team could be dangerous and could be competitive. I think best case, this team has the best shot of the the low dwellers of making to a medal game and playing for a bronze. That's their peak. If they finish fourth, I don't even know if they would win bronze, but I think they have a chance to play for it.
So you asked the question of who would play with Sider on that defensive line. Would it be potentially 39-year-old Moritz Mueller? Would you put a 39-year-old with Moritz Sider?
The Mo pair. The mopeds. I don't know. There's a nickname there somewhere in Germany, I'm sure. But
there has to be. The fact that this isn't just Draisaitl here gives me the vision of what you're seeing, Matt. I think this team can be that team. Like you said, Grubauer isn't having the worst of seasons this year. And
he can turn it on. I like him more than Freddie Anderson at this point to turn it on for 60 minutes and steal a game in the knockout round. Truly. Or hell, against the Americans. They're the second game against the Americans, right?
I believe so. That sounds correct.
No, it's the last game of group play. The 3:00 on February 15th.
So I mean that can make things a little bit more interesting there, depending on how those first two group stages plays out. Like you said, Germany is that team. They're the team that just finds a way to end up in the medal round, and they're playing for bronze or gold. Who knows? They are the best of the rest, I think. Overall, though, I think best case scenario is bronze. I don't think they get to the gold medal game just with the other teams around them, unless something insane happens, in the quarterfinals and certain teams go out, which I doubt, but I think bronze is the best case scenario for them here. Do you have any final comments here on Germany?
I do not.
Let's move on to personally, I think the team that could play spoiler here, it's Latvia. And I only say that because they've done it before. I still remember 2014. It was quarterfinals. They were playing Canada.
Who was the goalie from Calgary?
I don't know, but I know the goalie was the goalie that is first on this list. I'm butchering this right now. Gulovetsky, sure. I don't know, but that was the goalie in that game. He made about what felt like 90 saves, and it was a 2-1 final that Canada barely won. I still have nightmares of that game sometimes. But overall, yes, there isn't a ton of NHL talent here, but this is a lot better team than what we have seen in previous best-on-best tournaments from Latvia, especially in that goaltending department. They have two outstanding goalies right now in Merzlikins and Shilovs. It's going to be the big question here, Matt, is who's scoring goals for this team.
So I am mistaken. Obviously, it was Gudlevsky's. You are correct about that. I thought who was the Calgary goaltender from 20? He played. I'm going to have to look this up when you start talking again.
Was it Kiprasov? Is that what you're thinking of?
Oh, he's Finnish. I know that.
Okay.
They used to wear those ugly ass alternates. What was his name? 2013.
That had Calgary on it?
Yeah, it looked like a sweatshirt, but it was a hockey jersey. Anyways, I'm going to keep looking as I continue to talk about the fact that I also really like this Latvian team. Goaltending, as you mentioned, I was also thinking of how tough of an out they were in 2014. I did not realize that Guzlevsky, I knew who Guzlevsky was. I recognized his name. And after reviewing his hockey DB, he was just a product of the best goalie in the world in Vasilevsky existed in Tampa. And so he made his return to Europe. And he has been, I don't know, Nick, if you went back and looked at his numbers, he's been tremendous.
Yes.
Kari Ramo, that's who I was thinking of. He's
Yes.
He's finished two. No. I'm thinking of somebody else. I swear to God, there's a Latvian goalie that played for Calgary. Anyways, continuing on, but even Elvis Merzlikins or Guzlevski, two great goaltending options. I know you have your Penguin and Silovs. Should be the number 3 in my opinion. And they were tough out, so I think this team could be tough. Unfortunately, they don't have the forwards to do anything beyond. Like, they can win a game in the knockout stage. Can they steal 2? I don't think so. Sharks legend Rudolph Balcers. That's about it. That's all you're going to get out of me on the top. For skaters. There's a lot of names I don't recognize. Teddy Bluger. I don't think I've ever watched Teddy Bluger skate in the history of hockey. I don't indulge in much Vancouver Canuck hockey, unfortunately, Nick. But
you're not missing out on much.
NHL All-Star Game legend.
Yes. How are we feeling though about Latvia having a player from the greatest AHL team of all time, and that is this year's Grand Rapids Griffins?
Unironically, that is a factual statement. I don't know if it's factual, but I know that the Grand Rapids Griffins are having an incredible year for some reason in the AHL. An even bigger surprise than the Flint Firebirds in the OHL. Good luck to them, I guess. I don't know. Will that matter? Could it? Will he probably score in the United States? Probably.
Well, we'll see.
I'm having no luck finding this goalie that I'm thinking of. Who am I thinking of? Maybe I am thinking of Ramo, and I just am horribly mistaken, which very well could be the case. But I feel like it's not.
Well, I'll let you keep doing your research here as I ramble on a bit. Latvia's biggest thing here is
legend. Anyways, sorry. I'll shut up.
Latvia's biggest thing here is goaltending. It has to be Merzlikins that starts, I think. I think it would be wild if it's not. But overall, this team is going as far as their goaltending takes them. I could see a 2014 again where they are playing, a Sweden, a US, a Canada, and it's 1-1 going into the final 10 minutes of the third period. There's a very real possibility that could happen. Overall, though, this team feels like probably a loss in the playout round. It's all going to depend on that goaltending, though, because if there is a team that could steal a few wins, it's going to be Latvia, I think. And I think that's, best case, worst case there. Did you have best case, worst case for Latvia?
Best case, they steal a game and make the quarters. Maybe they beat the Americans in the group stage. Other than that, I don't think the worst case, they get their butts kicked in the first round of the knockout stage, and I guess worst case they finish last. They lose to Denmark, even though I don't think that they should. I think that they have the goaltending, and they're such a tough out. So I'm saying uncle, and I think Yari Ramo is who I was thinking of, and he is Finnish. So I don't know what the hell I was thinking of, but anyways, so
wow. Let's move on. There's one team left, and I know for you, it's the team that you have the most opinions on. I'm just going to sit back, let you take the wheel here. The United States hockey team built by Bill Guerin.
Built by Bill Guerin to beat the Canadians, who they may never even play. Here are my thoughts. Strengths. Goaltending. And now I did point out earlier, none of these guys are having outstanding seasons, unfortunately, but still, I'll take these 3 goalies, any one of them, I think, over pretty much any other goaltender in this tournament, to be truthfully honest. The Russians are the only ones who I'd take all 3 Russians over these 3 if Russia were to be playing in this tournament. I would give the net to Ottinger. I don't think they're going to, unfortunately, which is going to cost them at some point in this tournament. Unfortunately, sorry to Detroit legend Connor Hellebuck, but they're gonna give it to Hellebuck, unfortunately. The defense is incredible. Now Jackson Lacombe, he was a late add, correct, or was he on the original roster?
He is the addition for Seth Jones.
That's what I thought. And now Seth Jones was the one defenseman. I was like, why is he there? Just for his age. Now he is having a decent year. I know he's turned it on since joining Florida last year, but Jackson Lacombe probably won't see the ice much. It won't matter. I like the other 7 guys that are there. Weaknesses. I know, Nick, this is what you're waiting for. Why is JT Miller there? Do you have an answer? Has anybody even thought to ask Bill Guerin that question? Can we have a media day at the Olympics like they do at the Super Bowl where people are asked the same 6 questions over and over again for like hours on end? And then they're asked like, hey, what's your favorite food? And stupid. NFL Media Day, Super Bowl Media Day should also be canceled. But I need one with Bill Guerin to know why JT Miller, what criteria did he meet? And you know what? He might turn into Mike Ruthioni and score the game-winning goal on February 22nd. And I could have egg all over my face while I'm sitting at the WFCU Center in Windsor, Ontario, when the Birds take on the Spitfire that afternoon. But damn it, this guy stinks. Why is he there? Truly. Vincent Trocheck, why is he there? Like, there should be part of the criteria when you are a country that has more than enough talent in the NHL. Like Latvia, cool. Teddy Bluger, you got to bring him. I don't care that he's a 4th-line forward. You can bring good talent, especially when you have 2 guys top 10 in the league in scoring that are sitting at home. I don't trust the offense. Speaking of offensive output and top 10 scores, who is going to score on this team? I don't trust Austin Matthews to put the puck in the back of the net. Respectfully, history has shown me in the playoffs he doesn't show up. Jack Eichel's going to have to be Captain America. Have they named a C? I think you asked me this earlier.
I asked you earlier, and I don't think they have. My guess is we don't find out until they're in Milan.
Probably, which they are in Milan. They have arrived. They're doing the opening ceremony as we speak, I think. But I don't know. Either way, Jack Eichel needs to be the captain, and he's going to have to be the guy for this team. Him and Kyle Connor are the 2 that I am like, they need to put I know Matthew Tkachuk and his brother are going to be thing 1 and thing 2 and muck things up in front of the net, and they'll probably be contributing. But do you know who the leading scorer was for the Americans last year? He actually led the entire tournament in scoring, if I'm not mistaken, at 4 Nations last year, Nick. Spoiler, it wasn't a forward.
I don't remember.
It was Werenski. He had 6 assists, which I believe led the entire tournament, if I saw correctly earlier. My concern is there's too much muscle on this team. Everybody, half the forwards I'm looking at do a similar thing. Like the Kachucks are the same player. Brock Nelson just provides nothing offensively. I don't know why he's there because he's not going to play center. So why did you bring him? JT Miller, useless. Vincent Trocheck wins faceoffs on the 4th line. So how many faceoffs is he even going to take in a game realistically? Jack Eichel, I like him. Kyle Connor, I like him. I like Matt Boldy. Jake Gensel's fine. Hughes, Larkin, Keller, like they don't move the needle for me. And I don't like the balance of the forwards. The defense, like I said, I like the defense. I like the goaltending that's going to keep them in these games. The question is when they get to the knockout round, they're playing the Swedes and they're playing the Canadians. Can they score? Or hell, when they play the Latvians and Guzlevski is playing the game of his life. Who's going to score? As we saw last year, they had more than enough scoring chances against Binnington in the final of 4 Nations, and they couldn't get one to go. I want this to be the year, and did I ask you this, Nick? You probably know this. Do you know how many medals the United States has since Lake Placid?
Medals, I believe it's 2, and it's 2 silver.
They've silvered twice, 2002 and 2010.
That is correct. They lost to the Canadians both times.
Which is wild.
I also, if I'm not mistaken, they have never medaled in European Olympics before because all their medals have been
in North America.
Yep, North America.
This team either makes. I think it's a similar situation. I think they're playing for gold, or they're going to fall flat on their face and they'll lose in the quarterfinals to somebody they shouldn't. Like that's the road we're headed down with this American team. Truly, once again, and I'm still deciding internally what I think will happen. I don't even know if I want it to happen. Like, I don't know if this is the group of Americans where I can look at and go, yes, this is the this is the one. These are the ones. It's been 46 years. This isn't the inspiring group. 2010, I know I was a young child, so everybody was awesome to me, but like that group had the talent. You had some of the best American players ever playing on that ice. You had, I'll still go as far as to say, I don't think any of these three goalies will still be thought of as highly as Jonathan Quick or Ryan Miller in the history of American goaltending. Patrick Kane was on those teams, and he's the best American hockey player, American-born hockey player, as we just found out in the last couple of weeks to solidify that answer. But yet, here we are, and I think this team almost has the same issue that the Canadians have when it comes to World Juniors. Like, they're trying to be too cute, and this team is just built to try and beat the Canadians, who they might not beat. Instead, this team should be trying to win a gold medal, which they haven't done in 46 years. So, I don't know what to expect, truly. They're going to win the group because while they have the most balanced group, as we've discussed, none of that they don't win this group. Bill Guerin needs to be left in Italian gulag. I want your thoughts. Maybe you're a little more unbiased because you are rooting for the Canadians at these Olympics, but I think it's boomer. Once again, it's boomer bust, and more than likely it'll probably be a bust for the red, white, and blue.
To be honest, I agree. I'm leaning more towards bust. I honestly do not know if they make a medal game. I don't know if they make.
I would be surprised. Like, truly.
Some odd reason
going to force feed us USA, Canada, February 22nd. Eileen, yes. That's what it's all been about.
Yeah.
There's an ad. John Hamm tells us we're there to go and bring back Canadian tears.
Yeah, and then the CBC.
Whoever greenlit that, why? Like it. I'm sorry. I don't want to be like that person of like clearly didn't play hockey or clearly doesn't actually know the situation or actually put the history of the situation together or care enough. But I'm sorry.
It is just kind of one of those.
In 10 years, hopefully in 10 years, like we talked about the Czechs who are 4 years away, in 8 years, hopefully, because like, how many of these guys aren't going to make the team in 4 years? Like,
you'd hope JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck.
You would hope. Do I know that? I don't know that. Hell, maybe in 8 years they're not allowed to bring a hockey player or NHL players again. I know it's going to be on American soil, and they'll end up bringing JT Miller again while he's playing in a B beer league on Tuesday nights, and they have to fill roster spots. Hell, Tomas Tatar might join them and play for the Slovaks again. That's where I'm at. I don't even know where I'm at anymore. I truly am so lost. This team is. This tournament hasn't even started yet. I'm already pissed off at them.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you've been pissed off since January 2nd when they announced the roster. That's how
I was
long.
Pissed off before they announced the roster.
That is true because
I've been pissed off since the Four Nations happened. Truly
valid.
In a year, anyways, since they lost that gold medal game. Anyways, continue.
It is what it is.
Whatever it's called, fake fast tournament.
Hey, it was just a all-star game exhibition, don't you know?
Didn't count.
Overall, this is one of the teams of all time. They have good talent on paper. Is it going to work?
Do they? JT Miller is going.
Okay.
Yes. To be honest, I don't want to say throw back up the Swedish team. I wish we could get a double box of the Swedish team versus the United States. The United States should have more talent. The United States has more talent in between its borders than Sweden. And yet, we are bringing JT Miller, and they are not.
This is true, and you're leaving out the two top goal scorers in the NHL right now, American-born.
Even though Caulfield shouldn't be there, he falls into the same category of Connor Bedard, unfortunately.
I agree with
Jason
that.
Robertson should be there. There's no reason why JT Miller is there over Jason Robertson. JT Miller floats. What does he do? I hope they have a giant red. You know how they used to, like, Fox used to highlight the puck in the back in the 90s?
Yeah, glow puck.
Yeah, they should do that to JT Miller. So I can keep an eye on him, and the entire world, or all of the America, can watch him float and play from the top of the circle to the top of the circle.
Yes.
And they can shoot confetti onto your screen every time he actually goes into the corner and tries to hit somebody. I'm sorry.
Hey, never forget, he used fight 3 of 3 and punched himself in the face. Exactly.
I'm at a loss for words. Truly.
It is hard to get a loss of words, especially
And I hate to rip on Plymouth Whalers legend. Truly.
Yeah. Overall, if this team does not finish in the top
2 years ago.
Yes.
How did we get? He's minus 22 this year. How did we get to this point?
It's a great question. Ask Quinn Hughes what happened in that locker room, because he was the captain.
Would you like to guess the delta of his plus minus from that 24 season through 48 games in 2026?
Good Lord.
Keep in mind, he's minus 22 right now.
I honestly have no idea.
Let's look.
God, that is minus 22 this year, and he's made the Olympics.
He was plus 32. That's a 50 plus 54 difference. And 2 years apart. What the hell happened? And don't say the Vancouver Canucks happened, because he is the Vancouver. He's the reason they blew up, him and Jim Rutherford. But
hey,
you know what he did last year? He, in 4 games, he had 0 points, 7 penalty minutes in his little run at Four Nations. How did that not get his ass left home? Why is Brock Nelson there? Like I pointed out, if he's not playing center, like I don't have an issue with Brock Nelson being there.
Yeah.
Like I said, when is he going to even take a face off?
And that's the big thing. We talked about it with Canada, how they are kind of a heavy Four Nations roster. This is copy paste. You've added a few names. This is copy paste to Four Nations. It didn't work then. And are you thinking it's going to work now?
I don't know. I like the decor a lot. That's what keeps my sanity about this hockey team. But I want to throw up when I look at that forward group, truly.
Yeah, this is truly something. So we've been through all 12 teams now.
When Hellebuck shits the bed. He's going to.
Ends there.
It happens every time.
Yep. It very much
does. It's like watching the Titanic. It's like watching the movie Titanic. You know how it ends. And yeah, I'm going to watch. I'm going to get pissed off. And I'm going to sit on the podcast and yell and be defeated and be apathetic. And I don't know. I got to wait 4 years. Aren't we getting a World Cup of Hockey or something coming up?
28.
Isn't Gary really leaning into the international hockey after the success of Four Nations?
That is correct. We should be having best on best every 2 years from here on out. Will that actually happen when Gary finds out what hockey is going to be at the Olympics in 4 years in 2 temporary arenas inside a soccer stadium? You want to bet we're going to that one?
A roof?
It's going to be a temporary roof.
Oh, lovely. Great. Hey, he played hockey in Florida twice. In a month.
Valid. That is a very valid excuse there. Let's do predictions here. Let's just do your 4 semifinalists. Who wins gold? Who wins silver? Who wins bronze?
Well, I'm sure you're going to take a similar route. If there will be a, polar bear in Arlington, Texas, Dallas, Texas, whatever the hell the meme is.
Arlington,
I'm so
yes.
tired. I need to go to bed. Arlington. Anyways, what is the player doing in Arlington, Texas? My polar bear is the Germans. The Germans are making the semifinal. That is my bold prediction of the year. To go with that, I think the bronze medalists will be the Swedes. They're going to play the Americans. Actually, no, they're going to end up playing the Canadians, and the Canadians are going to beat them because then certain people, probably you, that's not an insult because you're not necessarily wrong, are going to say that is the gold medal game. The two best teams playing. Canadians will play in the gold medal game. I don't see a scenario where they aren't playing in the gold medal game. The Americans are going to be playing for gold. I don't see a scenario where these two teams don't play. The Americans are going to play the Canadians. They've been waiting 12 years. Did they even play against each other in 14?
Yes, they played in the semifinals. The final score was 1-0 with the greatest defensive performance I've ever seen.
We're getting that matchup again. I don't know if it's coming in the final or the semifinal, but it's not Olympic hockey if the Americans don't play the Canadians in the knockout stage. And you're gonna hate me. I think the Americans win gold. I truly do.
You were just hating on this team 10 seconds ago.
I just spent 10 minutes explaining how I hate this hockey team. And I can't. I don't think the Canadians win it. I think and maybe that's just me trying to copy a cop out. I know you're picking the Canadians. You're wearing their jersey. I doubt you're picking the Slovaks to win gold. I hate this, and they're just as likely to not even make it to the semis, which pisses me off. But I think they finally do it because what was this all for then? For the Americans, like truly, it was a waste of 12 months. It was a waste of marketing. You lost that game, and everybody was like, "Well, make sure you watch the Olympics when they'll play again. The Americans will get them next time, and this and that. We're going to run it back in the same old squad. The Bennington can't play that well twice again." I'm at a board. Bill Guerin, I trust. I guess the USA.
Well, again, there's going to be a polar bear in Arlington, Texas. I think it's going to be the Germans also.
God damn it.
Alongside Finland, Sweden, and Canada.
I like that prediction. I much prefer that prediction to my prediction.
To be honest, I think there's a chance the U.S. has to play in that playout round.
I don't think so. Something had to have gone horribly wrong if that happens, Nick.
I think the team they potentially lose to are the Germans in the group stage, and then the Germans win the group.
Even if they I don't know. I don't disagree. I do disagree. I can't say I don't disagree. I do disagree. Like there is no way the Americans don't win that group. They're going to have to play 3 competitive hockey games. There's no one they can sleepwalk through. But they're not going to lose that group because I don't expect the Germans to go 3-0. Truly, there's no way that the Germans, even if they beat the Americans, are going to go out and beat both Latvia and Denmark. They will. I can see them dropping one of those two. Because they are not foolproof. So we'll see. But I do like in terms of your semifinal prediction, you're probably right. I'm just pandering to myself, I guess. I don't know. Hopium. A lot of hopium.
Out of those two, obviously, have no idea how that bracket would break out. Canada gold. I'm going to go Sweden silver, and I'll give Germany the bronze. I think it will be a rematch if the bracket plays out correctly. It will be a rematch of the 2014 final when it was Canada Sweden, and I know I hate this goaltending. There's so much better about this team than the goaltending that Canada just. I know it feels dumb taking the favorite, but
it doesn't feel dumb. But like my only argument against Canadians is that that's flimsy goaltending.
Yes, it's the biggest problem. I 100% believe that is their biggest problem. And I'm just, it's a hope and a prayer right now that this works out. That's all this is right now, because Binnington can show up to Milan and look like he has all year for St. Louis, and it's going to be an absolute disaster. Because if they lose to the Czechs and he starts, are they really going to drop him for games 2 and 3? I don't think so. I think they're going to give him the chance to bounce back. And then you get into the quarterfinal round and you're playing God knows who, and Binnington's awful again. Who knows? I still think this is Canada's tournament to lose.
Sorry for the reaction. I just watched the highlight of the future of American goaltending misplay his position and costs the Spartans in overtime. So, as much as Reyes Triaugusty has been this year, what I just watched was horribly ugly. Anyways,
well, it's a good thing that the future of Canadian goaltending is in Grand Rapids right now, and he's going to make way for the future of American goaltending in Grand Rapids next year, unless, of course, Stevie Y doesn't know what he's doing again with his goaltending position. Who knows?
Is John Gibson American?
Yes.
He should be there. He should be at the Olympics.
Over
Having a great Hellebuck. I don't want Hellebuck in that. I wish he wasn't there. Him, JT Miller, and Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson should have been left home. Send them all to Sicily and leave them there. Put them on the fucking bobsled team. I don't care. Truly.
Wow. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this preview episode that's gone over 90 minutes?
Yeah, this is way too long. No, I can just share them when I'm proven right that Vincent Trocheck should have been left home, and we have 5 days until that moment. Actually, 6 days. I don't play till Thursday.
Yes. So
I can't watch any French women's hockey. I can't do it.
I just want to watch the Canadian women's hockey once. Is that going to happen? I don't know.
You were sentenced to an eternity of French Canadian women's hockey. French women's hockey, not French Canadian.
Yeah, just French Canadian hockey is good. French hockey, no. God. Plan here from here on out will be recapping each day. We'll give a preview of the next day. Same episode. It will not be 90 minutes each day.
Don't tempt me. JT Miller fucks up one time. And
full episode. JT Miller. Just, yeah.
We'll bring in the film. We'll break it down. I'll bring a whiteboard.
Yes. Who knows? We may have some special guests at some point. I don't know. Maybe we can wrangle some guests to talk. Maybe we can get JT Miller in here.
No.
That would probably be a bad idea. Who knows? Maybe not, but it will mostly be us two. If Matt can't make it one day, you may just be hearing my voice ramble on for 30 minutes about how awful the French looked. Because that would be a random day you would miss, is like when France played somebody and it was like a god-awful game. But we'll figure it out. We'll be here. Thank you so much for watching this preview of the 2026 Winter Olympic Hockey Tournament for the men. For Matt Merrifield, I am Nick Burt. We will see you again. I believe we'll do Tuesday. We'll do Tuesday night preview Wednesday's games. I think there's 2 games. They're not great, but we'll preview them. Won't be long, but we'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching.